If you're going to pray, don't worry. If you're going to worry, don't pray. I was laying in bed, breastfeeding my son, when my then spouse told me, I'm divorcing you. I remember getting up, walking out of the room, and knowing in my heart that was truly it. That moment was the beginning of a year-long battle through my divorce. Court, emotional exhaustion, literally trying to hold everything together while everything fell apart. It broke every piece of me. Divorce doesn't just end a marriage, it rearranges your routines, your identity, your confidence, and sometimes even your faith. But it can also break open a version of you that you never saw coming. This is All God's Grace, a space for honest conversations about faith, life, and the hard seasons we don't talk about enough. I wanted to do this episode because too many women walk through divorce alone or ashamed, and neither is necessary. There's so much wrapped up in this life-altering experience that we honestly just don't talk about it enough. What I needed most in my season wasn't advice or fixing. I just needed support. And for me, that was God's grace, even when I was feeling completely undone. Before we go any further, I am so excited to introduce you to my guest today. With so much love, again, and with excitement, Rebecca
Hi.
is here with us. And just real quick, I thought about this on the way here, and this isn't on our papers, but I think we have a connection through yoga. We don't have history with that together, but I think personality-wise, what I see in you is patience. They get better. Calm, and just, I don't want to be cliche and say resilience, but I really do think you get through it all. So let's start simple. We're here on the divorce episode. So you've gone through it.
Going through it. Yep.
Going through
So
it.
I've been separated for about 15 months now.
Doesn't even feel that long.
No, it feels like painfully long and also went so fast at the same time. But you are divorced.
I am
fully
divorced. Yeah. But okay, so real quick before we keep going, who were you when this season began and who are you now?
What a shift. I was thinking about this and I was such a shell almost. In my marriage, I bent over backwards trying to make my ex's life easier in all aspects, around the house, parenting, everything. And there was so much loneliness, not only in my marriage, but in motherhood, in parenthood. It was terrible. I felt so alone in a relationship and with somebody who was supposed to be my partner. It was just such an awful feeling. And now I feel sparkly. Like, it's really, really lame, but that's just the word that came to mind immediately after the separation. I was like, oh, I'm back. Like, it was just feelings of relief and immediate relief. I no longer bend over backwards to please anybody in my life. I feel now, which was not something I was really allowed to do in my marriage, or I didn't feel safe to do it in my marriage. And I feel it all, the good, the bad, the heavy, excitement. I'm not afraid of being too much anymore. I've really kind of stepped into that. This is who I am, take it or leave it. I'm strong and I'm confident that I can handle whatever comes my way and that things always work out for me, which is something I didn't feel for a long time. And I'm creating the life that I've always wanted. And as I'm kind of recreating this life, because I had it all. I had this big, beautiful home. I had a great job. I had a spouse. I had the kids. All these elements of the life that I have now were missing. That feeling of being home, feeling cozy and safe. I'm able to just going to be a better version of myself now.
Thank you for sharing. Again, so much love for that. I'll share mine. Who I was before I was married in hindsight, and there's going to be a lot of that in this episode, but it was just disappointing. I feel for my parents. They've never told me, well, to my face anyways, that I'm a disappointment, but I was raised well. I think I had a great upbringing. I think I wanted to be popular in high school, and I don't think I was. I had the titles, I was a cheerleader, whatever, but I don't know. I just feel like, again, hindsight, I was pretentious. And college, I was wild as they come. I mean, pizza, beer, somehow I was still a cheerleader the whole time. But after college, I went on this wild fitness journey. I competed in a ton of shows, 7. I got my pro card and all the things, but with an extreme weight loss journey, I went from wanting to fit in, not feeling like I fit in, to then being hot and I had a 6 pack and I was winning all these shows. It's really sad for me to reflect how selfish and narcissistic and egotistical I was. I mean, I was. I still like looking back at my photos and my experiences because it was a lot of dedication and hard work. But I was a person that I can't even remember that mindset. When I met my ex-husband, I was literally selling lipstick, that lip sense, which I still have some. I love it. And I was also in law school. So I was on this trajectory. I was like a fitness superstar and wanted to be an attorney. And I guess, is my summary of this phase for me. I wanted it all. I wanted the success, the career, the marriage, the house, the babies. That want was so loud that I forced it.
Mhm.
And we'll get into more of how that didn't work out for me. But who I am now is polar opposite. Interestingly enough, my current spouse got to see both versions of me because we actually dated before my marriage, and he exited because of my character flaws at the time. And as it's now evident, I found him after my divorce, and now everything's fabulous and beautiful. But now we've got this dream type marriage where I have a spouse who supports me. Like he even talked through my podcast, the last episode and this one, and we exercise together and we're renovating a house and it's unity and it's not forced. And kind of like you said, obviously there was relief. Mine took a lot longer, I think, than what we'll get into with yours. But the first marriage was a different me. And I think it took my marriage to completely break me to actually unearth who I'm supposed to be, who I was supposed to be. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive in. We have 2 different experiences, and I want to lean into that. Let's go into yours first. If you want to go ahead and just elaborate on a short synopsis of what, from beginning to end, like how the divorce felt for you.
For us, it was over for months, months, and months and months. We actually moved to Ohio about 18 months ago, a year and a half ago, left everything, our family, our friends behind in Illinois. And the marriage was over before that, but we're like, let's give one more big push. Let's restart our lives. And it was fine for a couple months when we moved here, and then just everything crashed and burned.
In your brand new house.
In my brand new, beautiful home, a dream home that never felt like a home. Never felt like a home. I was so happy the day that I did not own that home anymore. I do miss the space for hosting because it was so nice. And now I'm in a tiny, cute apartment, but
It'll happen again.
it was done. And I didn't have the strength to say I deserve better. I didn't have the strength. I didn't have the courage. And you can't. I mean, I don't know if people have asked you this, but people on multiple occasions have said, how do you know your marriage is done? You can't say it's done until it is done. It is such a long and painful process. I think people who aren't at this spot that we are or have gone through what we've gone through are looking for a if X, then Y. If this happens, then it's done. It's not like that.
This is what I don't understand, and sorry to interrupt,
No.
but you obviously, I mean, you're super educated. You've got a fantastic job. You're an amazing mother and a connector in your community. And I am a successful realtor. I've got my
Yes, you
two
are.
kids. The kids, I don't know, I think I'm raising them well. But like, how did we put up with this? And not saying anything about the spouse, not saying we put up with that, but put up with the lack of self-respect.
It's fear. For me, it was fear. I so desperately wanted to be done. And the thought of making a change and saying I'm done was so terrifying for me. I just bought a new house. I just moved to a state I knew nobody. The ramifications of that decision were so immense at the time. And then that decision was made. And I have built this beautiful life in the past, what I say, 14 months since we've separated. You don't know it's over until you get there.
It is crazy. Like when you know, you know, but when you don't, it is like if X, then Y. It's this algorithm, this geometry lesson of this has to happen for me to know that we're good, or we should have another kid, or we should move to a house. And I'm not saying this for you. I'm saying this for me. How did I get so dumb in
Totally applicable for me too.
that marriage?
Dang girl. For me, I did have like one defining moment when it was maybe a week or two before the separation and we decided to separate. Right before the separation, I was having the most awful panic attacks, like debilitating. I would have to pull over when I was driving. I couldn't breathe. Like my world was crashing. And my ex and I shared a bed until he moved out. We were still in the same room, same space. And we were in bed one night and I rolled over to him and I said, I can't breathe. Like, I need help. I am not okay. I'm really struggling. He said, what do you want me to do about it? Rolled away from me. And that was that. And I was still wearing my wedding rings and I felt my finger burning. It was the most intense physical feeling. And I got up and I took them off that night and I never put them back on. And that for me was like, I am done. This has to stop.
I wonder how many marriages end that way, because that's where mine started. In bed, he told me he was leaving
Gosh
me. I
darn
was
it.
like, okay. Back to the experience. So that started 14 or so months. Where are you now? Or when do you think you had clarity on all this? You said it was like immediate, right?
It was immediate. We had the like, we're separating discussion. He was very much like, we'll do a dissolution. We can work together. And I said, I'm getting an attorney. I'm not there. This isn't even a question. He was like, no, I don't think you should get an attorney, blah, blah, blah. And I got an attorney the next day. We had to sell the house. Thank you, Kendra, for helping with that. Shameless plug. Did a great job. So we had some things to take care of, and our parenting agreement has been an issue. Just we don't have 50-50 time. So there have been a couple hiccups in the plan, and things are just kind of on hold right now, letting that settle before we actually submit everything. So we're getting there. Hopefully after the holidays, we'll get back to it.
I can't wait for that to be resolved and feel good for you. Yeah, it's crazy because my experience was completely different. And I know of other marriages that have ended with children and a dissolution. In custody, no issues, no financial. Love that for them. Mine was long and traumatic. I think I was raised in a Christian household. We routinely went to church, cleaned the church, did the Bible studies, weekend, church camp, all the things. And it's good and bad. Everything in this was God pulling me away from the situation. But I think I had so much shame that I wouldn't face it. It's hard now looking back because it probably would have been a whole lot less stressful if I would have been like, okay, cool, I'll sign the papers, I'll do this, I'll do this. But I fought for my marriage. I don't regret it because I have in my heart that I did everything I could to save the marriage. But at the same time, hindsight, it's almost like I was trying to force him to love me back when he told me, hey, I'm done with this marriage. So I don't know what kind of I don't want to say I handled the divorce wrong. Again, I have peace in my heart that I tried everything I could to save my marriage, but I did want to go into something that I thought was funny because you, with a yoga background, do you have any Ayurveda history? Like, did you do that in your teacher training?
A little bit, like surface level.
Same. My girlfriend Sherry is way into it, but have you ever heard of your dosha? It's like your personality type. Well, mine is Pitta. And the only reason why I bring that up is because the qualities of that is stubborn, perfectionist, like we burn hot. And I think my marriage pulled all of that out of me. And it was like a superpower I didn't know how to control. And I think what I learned from my divorce, not the marriage, like actually on the way out of it, I learned how to coexist, I guess, with those qualities. And I guess it's God. I think that's what it is. I have learned to tone down my my instincts because of grace and what I mean, I guess just being a better human. So we did try to get back together twice. I think it was all so clear, but it was like a July when the initial conversation happened, and unfortunately, in my memory, I was literally breastfeeding Georgie in bed when he told me that. And then October, and I only remember this because we got gorgeous family photos at our church fall party. And looking back, I feel like those attempts were to appease me. I think he was trying to maybe help me with the grief, but that made it so much worse. So I was stringing myself along. I don't fault him for trying to, I think he saw the pain. I'm sure he has his own set of feelings as well. But I think I just kept fighting for something that was so far gone. I should have walked away and closed the chapter. Up until our home sold, because I had a house sale during our divorce too, and it was awful. I mean, we weren't communicating. I remember clear as day when the house sold the night before closing, my neighbors down the street were home, and I said, "Hey, will you walk with me through the house for one last time?" Horrible memory, horrible memory. I cried, and God bless them because they just sat with me while I cried. And there were blue curtains in my son's bedroom. I took them down. I took them. And can you believe it? The buyers apparently bought the window coverings. So then I got in trouble for removing the curtains from my son's bedroom. Anyway, memories that I can look back and laugh now, but at the time, they just hurt because I had all those things. I had the house, I had the job, I had the community. I feel like the word I'm looking for was status. I felt like I had made it with the marriage I had, and walking away from it was a failure. Thank the Lord I had the family and the support that I did. My preacher's wife, I leaned into. I had a girlfriend at the time, we're still friends, Lydia, but she had her son the night before me at the same hospital. And now they go to school together. Yeah. But we would go to church together on Sundays. My preacher's wife was there for me. And then when I moved out of our marital house, I had an apartment downtown Grove City, and it was just me and Georgie. But my neighbor there, Stacy, it was just her birthday. Happy belated birthday. Her son was a couple years older than mine, but I feel like it was traumatic, but those things and those people literally lifted me up. So I just want to summarize this little section. 100% believe that my divorce was a God thing. Like I told you about the person I was before, the beer and the pizza and the narcissism, that was a thing. Like that was me. Like I don't even know if you would recognize me in my late 20s. But I do have a verse for this. It's actually not the verse, it's the summary, but sometimes God doesn't fix what we're fighting to keep. Sometimes he removes what's breaking us. And that's John 15:2, summarized, of course. Also, what's interesting is Dana Gentry, she's the operating partner for my brokerage, but I have this quote from her in one of my journals, and it says, if you're going to pray, don't worry. If you're going to worry, don't pray. And I feel that now, but during the time, I was so traumatized that no scripture, no nothing could take me out of the emotional turmoil that I had. But I still think that I was removed from that marriage for a reason. I think it was holding me back. I think I was stuck in a version of myself that wasn't serving my purpose, that wasn't serving God. And I was what's the word I'm looking for? I was underutilizing my character. I don't know.
I like it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I struggled so much with my identity. Did you go through that at all? Like, I know you were scared, but I had a personality shift. I was a different person after my divorce.
Yeah, I think of who I am now versus who I was in my marriage. And I didn't share this earlier. I got married at 19. We've been together a really, really long time. So much of who I was this version of me with him. We grew up together, babies, houses, cars, like all of these big things. There wasn't a lot of Rebecca outside of the marriage. But now that there's a Rebecca outside of the marriage on the other end, I feel it's more of a homecoming, which is so wonderful. And it's not all like great and sunshine and roses. It's painful and gut wrenching, but it feels like I'm kind of coming back into myself. So it's not so much a identity crisis. It's how do I want to feel now? Who do I want to be?
Yeah.
Mm.
It's really crazy how those were two completely different experiences, but like the same trauma source. I want to address something about the whole experience is just the different healing times. Like I can say without a doubt, so mine started in July. I know my parents were here for my birthday. I mean, my struggle was it took a very, very long time. I did end up reconnecting with my now husband. I think he swears it was like spring. So I guess that would be like a year after the separation. But kind of like you said, the divorce wasn't final for like a year and a half after. But just so many pieces of, I mean, I was parenting, different episode, but because I was breastfeeding, he was only 6 months old. We did 2 days on, 3 days off. And I think the Christian faith failed marriage thing was my first trauma. The second one, my marriage failed. Just, I thought I was going to be with someone. And the third one was separation from my child at that age when I was nursing.
I can't even imagine.
You don't want to. It was not, I mean, there were times, and again, thank the Lord for my support system, my neighbor, my preacher's wife. I had a friend at the time that was an awesome soundboard, but I don't know if I would be here today if I didn't have my faith because of how traumatic that time was. But yeah, so the healing timelines is where I'm getting with this. It doesn't follow any emotional timeline. For some people, the separation brings clarity quickly. Would you say that?
Yeah. So I want to share a really impactful moment for me. We decided to separate on a Thursday, and my ex moved out of the house and moved in with a friend on Sunday. I was in rough shape that weekend. Panic attacks, not sleeping, not eating, crying. Like I was really gearing up for a bad night on Sunday night. He left, walked out the front door, and I went upstairs to the bedroom, rearranged the bedroom, put on fresh sheets and a new pair of pajamas, poured myself a glass of wine, and I sat down and watched Gossip Girl. And I was like, is this what happiness is? Like, is this it? I've been missing this for so long. It was instant relief. I just felt like I can breathe again. And don't get me wrong, there have been hard nights and painful moments, but yeah, it was like dead weight is gone and it's wonderful.
I remember that weekend. And here's the other thing. I don't know where it was in all my notes, but grief and joy can coexist.
Two things can exist at the same time. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really lean into that in that season. I can't think of an example right now, but I know I very frequently think I can be sad and also totally content with what's going on right now, or I can be angry and relieved at the same time.
I don't want to add jokes to it, but the fourth week of the month, I can be very, very happy, but crying.
Fair.
I think that's an
That's fair.
unfortunate part of being a female with hormone fluctuations. The timelines are different for everybody. And here's one flaw that I think I went through. I asked everybody's opinion.
Mm,
I even remember I had a mom's group, Babies, Bumps, and Brunch, with a Pilates teacher. I was working at the Athletic Club of Columbus downtown, and it was just a bunch of pregnant women, some with multiples, other kids. But I remember personally messaging them like kind of very personal, intimate questions about my marriage. And I'm like, is this right? Does this seem right? No, it's not right. If you're putting that in a text message, something's not right. And I feel like I was always looking for justification
yeah.
or approval or acceptance from other people, even when I knew that something wasn't right.
Oh, yeah. I remember one time my daughter, Charlie, was just like a very new two when we separated. And things were so bad before the actual separation and he moved out. And I remember I was rocking her to sleep one night and I'm Googling, how do I know it's time for a divorce? And I'm like, it's this list of like 20 things. I'm like, no, no, no. Dang it. Like, you
Check
don't
them all
want to
off.
accept it. Yeah, you're like, oh, shoot. It's so massive and it's so overwhelming that you're seeking outside information. And I think people are scared to talk about it. So that's why I love what we're doing here and saying that you will be okay. I think there needs to be more stories like that. I don't ever want to push anyone to divorce because it's
Right.
terrible. It's
Right.
literally the worst thing to go through.
And I think that's why I fought so
Yes.
hard.
Yes. I was desperate to be done with my marriage. And still, I was like, let's do marriage counseling. Let's do this. We'll book a sitter twice a week and go on date nights. Like, we'll make it work because the alternative is so immense and it's too overwhelming and it's scary.
Yeah. Healing timelines,
Mm-hmm.
quick, long. Both experiences are real, are valid. You might be in a disillusion with no children, maybe no properties. And it could be cool, let's go to the courthouse, let's get it signed, we're done, move on. And others might be middle of the ground,
Mm-hmm.
semi amicable, and happiness immediately. Or you might be dragged through the mud with your own emotions and go kind of psycho for a year.
I think everybody goes kind of psycho. It doesn't matter if it's quick or takes a little bit longer.
One thing that I wanted you on the show because of this magnetic force field. I feel like I've said that in all the episodes so far, but that you have around yourself
Mm.
with this idea of connection.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a very successful moms group
Oh,
that
thank
you've
you.
grown that I also magnetized to. Is that the word?
That's a nice way to put
I
it, I guess.
stuck to. But that leads me to the question, what helped you through this reconnect with yourself?
Definitely community and leaning into community. I don't know if you struggled with this, but I, in the immediate time after the separation, really struggled with asking for help. It felt weak and I didn't like it. But our good friend Rachel was also going through a divorce and I leached onto her. There is no other word for it. I leached.
I'm sure she doesn't describe it like that.
I think she does, and that's totally fair. It was a leeching. She was going through this, and I had talked to her. She's a mom's group friend, right? I talked to her maybe once, and she shared a little bit of her story, and I sent her a Facebook message a couple of weeks later. I was like, hi, I think I'm about to get a divorce. I don't know what to do. Be my friend. So leaning on your support system is so impactful and empowering, and it kind of leads you back to yourself and gives you some space, knowing that you're held in a different way than you had been for so long because it should have been your spouse holding you. And then you kind of have to figure out how to hold yourself, and then you have people come in and hold you. Other ways I reconnected with myself, my mom, Sharon. She has been such a rock and such a source of comfort and understanding. I'm
Where
so
is
grateful.
she?
She's in Illinois.
Okay. That's right. You go there yeah.
Yep. I'll see her in about a week and a half, and I'm so excited. Anyways, other fun ways that I've reconnected with myself, I made a Pinterest board and I call it 2.0 because this is like the second version of my life, and
I
it's just
wanna be on it.
full. You are welcome to. It's just full of fun things and quotes that I find inspirational and pretty pictures. I don't know.
Yeah, share with me. Reconnecting with myself. Again, I've already said it. Christy, Stacy, my neighbor, and Lydia. Um, those 3 women, I don't even know if Lydia realizes because we've kind of been out of touch since she kind of switched churches. I switched churches, and then it's funny because our kids are now in the same class, but they moved. They were right up the road, and now they're like a 5-minute drive. But sometimes when you're parenting and winter, it's a long drive. Christy Kirtland, I only name drop her like that because she actually has a book out, a devotional. There are very few people in my life that I know that are 100% of the time grace giving coming from love. And that's Sharon Kuhn, which I'm saying this because I'm manifesting getting her on the show and I've already asked her. Christy Kirtland, her and her husband led a church on 665 in Grove City. You are one of them.
Me?
That you're always love.
Oh,
You're
thank
always love.
you.
Even when you're upset, you're coming from a place of love.
Mm.
And that, like, I don't think you can replace that. But that's how I reconnected with myself. And kind of like you said, I am years post-divorce and I ruminated on this topic forever because still feel very close to the trauma. I have certainly grown out of it, but it's still in my heart. Like I could probably cry if asked on cue, some detailed questions about that time period. But I think the reconnection was women
Mhm.
that could, and to my knowledge, I don't think any of those women are divorced. So it wasn't necessarily like people who have gone what I've gone through that I needed around me, just women uplifting women
Yeah.
and being good humans. What surprised you about who you became?
I didn't feel safe with my emotions in my marriage. Now that I'm no longer in the marriage, I'm really leaning into feeling.
Okay, can I ask for clarity?
Yeah.
Are you saying you didn't want to be earth facing? Was that the level of
No,
emotional
no.
unsafety? Because that's where, I mean, mine was there. There was one day where I didn't have Georgie, and I was like, this cannot be where I'm supposed to be with the level of, it was not good. So that's where my emotional unsafety
Mm.
went. But tell me more about what you mean by that.
Yeah, no, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Mine was never anything that is extreme and sensitive to say, but
No,
never
no.
that
Yeah.
intense. I think it's fair to say that if your marriage ends, there's probably communication issues. So I would do my best to share how I was feeling. And unless it was anger, emotions just kind of weren't heard or understood. So I was a really angry person for a really long time. And coming out of my marriage, because it didn't matter if I was crying, the message wasn't getting across. Didn't matter if I was
Got it.
really excited about something, that was too much. Kind of the only way that I could communicate was through yelling and being angry. So now that I'm out of the marriage, I have really leaned into, I'm a highly sensitive person. Have you heard anything about this?
No.
I've worked with a therapist on this for a while. It is not like a clinical diagnosis or anything. It's literally an online personality test. But I really identify as being highly sensitive. It just shapes how I see the world and how I feel things. So for me, emotions can feel painful. Like I feel things really, really, really deeply. I can get overstimulated really easily. Like audio overstimulation does not bother me. Like when we have a bunch of kids at a play group and it is chaos, bring it, no problem. But if one of my kids accidentally whacks me in the face, like I'm ready to deck them back. Like I am in fight or flight. Anyways, so I am leaning into being this highly sensitive person and allowing myself to feel and feel everything for the first time in a decade plus.
Feel that for you. Like I think that's what I was saying earlier. Maybe the word is compassion. Like I feel that from you.
Thank you. I try really hard to identify how I'm feeling. And I practice this with my kids. So Henry is 5 on Friday. He's so big. And Charlie is 3. So I'm co-parenting, or not co-parenting, co-regulating alongside them. If I'm feeling shouty, I'll say, hey guys, I'm sorry. I'm feeling cranky because I'm hungry. I just need to take a break and eat something.
Don't we
Or,
all?
I know, right? Like naming those emotions. I repeat to myself this quote: I allow myself to feel and to flow freely. And that gives me the bandwidth to, with going through the divorce, with parenting struggles, with being a working mom, any of those things, to allow myself to feel. And it's new and it's overwhelming and it's wonderful.
That is grace. You are giving yourself grace. What didn't help, even when people meant well?
So the biggest thing for me is I started dating. My ex moved out on a Sunday, and I think I went on a date that following week. I was like, let's go. Let's get back into it. Absolutely had no business dating right away. Had a lot of fun. Got my confidence back a little bit, but woo, that was not helpful. Like, I do not recommend that to absolutely anybody. How did you start dating?
I
You had a
I
baby too, though.
I had a bit right. He was 6 months old. The July date when things kind of came to a start of
Mhm.
the
The
end.
beginning of the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My husband swears that it was spring because my birthday was I had court on my birthday.
Oh, that's rude. But what a good birthday present, maybe?
Girl,
Not
no.
a good birthday
It was
present?
an ambush.
Oh.
It was I don't want anyone ever to have the experience that I did. It wasn't a jury, but it was testimony or something. And my parents weren't here. I don't know. I can't remember. It's blurry. I just remember it was my birthday and my now husband says that I texted him to come hang out on my birthday and he was dating someone. So he said no, but he just remembers that date because it was my birthday.
Mm.
So that was November 30th. So July, August, September, October, November. So 5 months. He says it was a couple months after that we met
Mm.
at somewhere on Broadway, downtown Grove City.
Yeah.
So it was months before, and I think I went out with like 2 gentlemen before then. I think they were guys from the gym, and those did not.
So in the beginning, I'm in a wonderful relationship now, and I needed to kind of go through some duds maybe to get there. Anyways, besides that, dating immediately, not the best idea. It all worked out in the end. Always does, right? The other thing that I really struggled with, and you mentioned it earlier, was emotional exhaustion. Being from Illinois, when I would go back and see family and friends, people would want to know what happened. And I was totally open to share it. I'm an open book. And then leaving, and later that night when I was alone, I would feel depleted because it was somebody who was too removed from the issue. Honestly, I'm assuming after we leave here today, I'll probably be exhausted, like feel some of that emotional exhaustion too. But I know you and I love you, and you know enough of my story that this is comfortable. So I think people want to know and want to support you. I think it's also okay to hold boundaries and to say, I'm not going to talk about this right now. And I would hope that people wouldn't be offended by that. Did you experience that at all?
I didn't experience that. I do want to touch on the dating thing,
Mm.
though, because a lot of women in our circle that I know are going through this have kind of questioned, and regardless of faith or
Mm.
religion, is it right? Should I be doing it? I actually did reconnect with a previous ex-boyfriend, not my husband. That was a different ex-boyfriend, but I think I really hurt feelings because I was not detached from my marriage yet. And actually what happened, and this is actually sad. I jumped the gun and had an emotional relationship, I don't know, maybe 4 months after the separation, and it was over the phone. And there was heavy emotions.
Mhm.
And I had to tell this person, hey, my husband wants to try to get back together. And this was before our family photos in October. And I think I really, really hurt someone. So when it comes to dating after marriage, I actually think that did not help because then I had a sadness for someone else that I hurt
Yeah.
in the process. So yeah, I just like that you brought that up.
And my experience was different too. I
Right.
remember like when my ex, my husband, and I were having our we're separating conversation, dating came up and I'm like, "I'm ready to date." He's like, "What do you mean you're ready to date?" I'm like, "I am done with this, and I have been done for a long time. I'm ready to date." And looking back, definitely too soon. But I think there's been a lot of healing in a new relationship too. There's a lot of sadness like, is this what I've been missing for so long? This support, this partner, this like fun and ease, and also a lot of healing, like to be loved in a different way, in a healthy way.
That came for me when my current husband came back around.
Mm.
And again, I don't know how long that was after my birthday in November. Again, he says it was like spring. He remembers being in Costa Rica, but the immediate comfort, it was funny because he messaged me and said, I think I'm ready for a diet plan. Because I was a nutritionist and
What haven't you done?
personal no, I did,
I
but
love it.
I was a personal trainer and a nutritionist, and God bless his family, which I don't give them enough gratitude because they're the ones that got him back to me and got me back to him, but he's like, "Yeah, I need a diet plan," and I'm like, "Okay." So I'm pretty sure, like, I wrote him a plan, and he came over, and I was like, "Well, I'll make you dinner tonight," and he's like, "No, I have to go home," and I'm like, "No, I'll make you dinner. You need to stay." But, like, every time he would stay, it would be the next meal. I'd be like, "No, I need to prep this for you, so you need to stay
That's
here."
so cute.
Oh, he did not like it. He fought it for the longest time. God bless my husband, love you. He fought it so hard, but I got him.
Got him.
One other thing that didn't help when people meant well, I wouldn't say this was intentional, but I do wanna put this out there because I was so sensitive during this time that I couldn't be around happy married people
Mm.
or even disgruntled married people. And I only say this because it's funny, and I have such a great relationship with my sisters and my mother, but I remember, and they might remember because of how aggressive my response was, but we were standing in my little sister's kitchen, and I hope I'm not ratting them out. They have cute little marital fights all the time, but my little sister was complaining something about her husband not taking out the trash because he was blowing the leaves. And she was fuming. End of the marriage because he chose to blow the leaves instead of take out the trash. And it broke me. It freaking broke me. And I just remember being stone cold anger because you have a husband who wants to do either of those things. And I have nothing.
I felt the same way. I think women supporting women, it's listening to the squabbles, but I hear he didn't take the trash out. I'm like, I take the trash out. It's me. I'm the one taking the trash out. You can take the trash out too. Why are you fighting over this? It's a hot topic in relationships.
All I want to convey with that is the hypersensitivity.
Mhm.
I needed room to I needed room to grieve, to grow. And I don't think I should have not went to my family gathering. I just think that I was aware, and I even knew in that moment my little sister's face was, "Dang girl, like what's your problem?" And I was like, "I'm going through a divorce." But yeah, I just think to the point of this whole thing, like that's why we're doing this. Women go through different things, different emotions on different timelines in different scenarios. Sometimes there's kids, houses involved, and you literally have to lean into your people and to your Jesus. But yeah, let's get some more tips out there. So,
Mhm.
what would you tell your younger self?
This is such a good question. So there's this quote that's really resonated with me that I want to share. And it says, I release the versions of me that I created in order to survive. And this has brought me so much comfort because, like we talked about earlier, Rebecca in her marriage was a shell, right? I was weak and I did not stand up for myself and just this really icky, sad, disappointing version of myself, and I was doing my best at the time. So I honor that version, and it's not me anymore. So holding that both, that was who I was, and it's not who I need to be anymore. I would tell my younger self too that ending a marriage is not an easy decision, and it's not something you know until you know. Was that Taylor Swift? And I would tell her that you'll be okay. There's not enough people who say you'll be okay. There's a lot of, I'm so sorry. This
Which
is
is good
terrible.
because saying you'll be okay is also cliche, and, like, to me, that wouldn't have been helpful.
Oh, interesting. I needed somebody to say, "You will get off this kitchen floor. You don't have a choice. You have your kids most of the time.
Right.
So, like, you literally have to." But I needed to hear, "You will be okay." And I see where you're coming from too, that it can be dismissive.
I don't know if dismissive, but, like, it just didn't resonate with me.
Mhm.
Like, I know I'm gonna be okay, but how do I get there right now? I don't have my kid, and I'm alone. But can you read that quote again?
Mhm. I release the versions of myself I created in order to survive.
I feel that because this reminds me of one thing. I worked for the Secretary of State at the time, and I was a
You
legal
have the
secretary.
most impressive resume.
No, it's ridiculous. Thank you, though. I was the executive legal secretary at a law firm, and this is sad. This is sad. I remember one of my higher ups saying, who do you want to support or who do you want to vote for? I went to DC for several years for politics, and I campaigned for John Boehner in college, but I was like college Republicans, things like that. And this person was a high level, high powered Ohio Democrat. And I just remember at the time being like, I'll do whatever you say. I will do what you need me to do because I work for you. But kind of what you said, that was my identity. My identity was what everybody around me needed it to be. I didn't have one. I didn't have one. And that's what my divorce brought out of me. Me. Hi. Yeah. I'm new. Speaking of new, it is about time. So I do want to share some scripture that I actually brought these as a safety net because this was my journal throughout it's one of my journals throughout my divorce and then my current one. But there are some really good scriptures that carried me through those times. This one, my girlfriend at the time, Crystal, I don't know if she and I were together when I found this verse, but there's a picture back when I competed. Crystal and I had these massive six packs. So cool. A time in my life. I think she still has one. Love that for her. But I had this Bible verse on my dresser from 1 Corinthians 13. And it's love is patient, love is kind. It does not insist on its own way. And I used to think that love meant enduring no matter the cost. Like, hold on for dear life. And I think my downfall was my way. This has to be my way or the highway. I also realized during my divorce that love tells the truth and love does not require self-abandonment. And that's what I did. That's what I did. But to kind of what you've said, love can be patient and still choose boundaries. Love that. Feel it in my soul. And I have a note here, just full circle moment. I've already touched on this, but I literally am literally currently married to the man that left me before I got married because I was trying to force these things on him. And lucky for him, he got away just so that my divorce could break me and I could find him again. I mean, that's wild to me. Like if I don't
It's
know.
a
If that's not a God thing, I don't know what is. I want to touch on it as well. John 15:2. I mentioned that earlier on God removing people from your life. And again, just like Dana's quote, which is right here, and I don't know if she said this or she pulled this from somewhere. She's really good at keeping notes too. But if you're going to pray, don't worry. And if you're going to worry, don't pray. That is so easy to say. But I know I struggle with anxiety. I think you might too. Just another thing on that, some removals are protection and some endings are pruning, not punishment. That that was deep for me because I thought my marriage was punishment. I thought I was being punished for the longest time. I remember we had a little half bath right in our front door. And I remember crying in there the day the movers came and just being like, why is this happening to me? Why me? All right, Rebecca, you're back in the hot seat. What do you do in the first 30 days after your separation? What do you do? No pressure.
Release all expectations and drop the bar even lower than it already is. I was not the dream mother then. You can't be. Like when you are in such a state of crisis, even though there was relief, right? It's still, my whole world just changed. I had to drop the bar all the way down.
Did you know that though, or is this hindsight?
No, I knew it. I was
Okay.
like, what? Even the bare minimum is too much right now. I need to lower it even more. So it's DoorDash, it's the TV for the kids, it's whatever I need to kind of get myself back in a better place where I can take care of myself and take care of my kids too. So in all areas of life, release expectations. I went to my boss, I called her the next morning, 8 a.m., and just sobbed. I'm like, I'm going through a divorce. And she said, okay, let's figure it out. Speaking your truth is really helpful too, because there's nothing to be ashamed of. It just is what it is. It's part of your story. So release expectations, lower the bar, and to give yourself so much grace. I mentioned being on the kitchen floor. It was like a very vivid, really low moment after a screaming match, and I just sunk to the floor crying. This was days before the separation, and my kids came on either side and are like holding me and like rubbing my arms and saying it's okay. And when you're in that moment, you're like, this is it. This is how I'm going to feel indefinitely. And I'm saying this, but it's something I still need to remind myself to do. It's just give yourself grace, because you won't be in that moment forever. You just need to allow yourself to be there so you can pick yourself up and move forward.
I feel like that is one of those strengths that I see in you, like that just compassionate resilience.
Thank
Like
you.
in all of the crazy, like just keep going, pick yourself up and go. And I think that's wonderful advice. Like those first 30 days. This one is so hard for me because it took me months to grip the fact that I was getting a divorce. I don't know if I would have changed anything. I would say maybe lean into your church family sooner, because I was a delay. It wasn't until my marriage started outwardly making a mockery of my faith that I realized God is telling me this is done. So I would say in the first 30 days, like, get your heart right with God. And whatever that looks like for you, because that was my eye-opening moment. And I had a huge history of Christian life, but I think college got me a little further away. I still went to church on Saturdays, but I think it was absent from my marriage. And I think that God was like, fix it. I did. Okay. And here we are. Okay. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. I think, Rebecca, to your point about like just grace, take it through. One of the closing scriptures I'll give here is Isaiah 43:2. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. You don't have to rush healing. Keep moving forward one step at a time, even through the dark times. God's with you. Grace is with you, and just hold on. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted, Psalms 34:18. God doesn't abandon women in messy chapters. Love that one too. But yeah, just closing here. If you're listening and wondering why your experience doesn't sound like someone else's, you're not behind. Healing does not run on a shared schedule. Rebecca and I even have two completely different experiences. But thank you so much
Oh, thank you
for
for inviting me.
sharing. And to anyone listening, you're not weak for needing time. You're not weak for asking these questions, or maybe if you're going through a divorce, get your support, take the space that you need, and just keep in mind, like Rebecca was saying, you're not staying in it, you're walking through it. Thanks. This is all God's grace.